The air inside the banquet hall felt heavy and still, filled with the smell of expensive wine and my mother's strong perfume. I sat quietly at the far corner of the long table, watching my sister Vanessa entertain everyone the way she always did. Her diamond engagement ring sparkled every time she moved her hand while talking. Our parents sat proudly beside her like they were showing off a trophy. My father's hand rested on the back of her chair like he owned the moment. "Tell them about the venue, darling," my mother said excitedly, almost glowing with pride. Vanessa smiled brightly. "The Fairmont Royal York, Marcus's father managed to reserve the grand ballroom. It's going to be absolutely amazing." Marcus Chen, my father added loudly to the table full of relatives, puffing out his chest. Senior partner at one of Toronto's most respected law firms. And his father sits on the board of 3 major corporations. I slowly poked at my salmon with my fork, wishing I could somehow disappear into the chair. I had already learned long ago that our family dinners were never really about family. They were performances. They were about showing off achievements, comparing success, and collecting stories my parents could proudly repeat at their country club. "And what about you, Jordan?" my Aunt Patricia asked, her voice overly sweet. "What exactly do you do again?" The table became silent. I felt every pair of eyes turn toward me. "I'm an aerospace engineer," I said quietly. "I work on satellite systems." My father made a small dismissive noise in his throat. "She messes around with machines in some warehouse in Mississauga. Not exactly glamorous, is it?" "Dad, I design navigation systems for communication satellites. Right now I'm leading the project for—" He cut me off and looked back at the others. Always so defensive. Can't even have a normal conversation. My mother reached across the table and squeezed Vanessa's hand warmly. "At least one of our daughters understands the importance of a good marriage." Vanessa worked very hard to meet the right people and present herself properly. That's what truly matters in this world. Meeting Marcus was the best thing that ever happened to me, Vanessa said proudly without even looking at me. "You know what they say? It's not only what you know, it's who you know." My cousin Bradley chuckled. "Well, Jordan, maybe you'll meet a nice engineer at your warehouse. Someone at your level." The table filled with polite laughter. Something painful cracked inside my chest, but I kept my face calm. I had 28 years of practice pretending it didn't hurt. "Actually," said carefully, "I was recently promoted to senior systems architect. I'm the youngest person in the company to hold that role." "That's wonderful, dear," my mother interrupted quickly, her voice cheerful but empty. "Now, Vanessa, show everyone the wedding invitations. They just arrived today." Beautiful. Cream-colored cards were passed around the table, everyone admiring the gold lettering and thick paper. I didn't bother asking to see one. I already knew I wouldn't be getting an invitation later that night. When dinner was almost over and people were enjoying coffee and dessert, Vanessa pulled me aside into the quiet hotel corridor. "We need to talk," she said quietly. I folded my arms. "About the wedding." She avoided my eyes. "Marcus's family is very particular about appearances," she began slowly. "They're traditional, very careful about image. Okay. Parents are hosting the rehearsal dinner next week. There'll be a canoe. Very upscale. All of Marcus's relatives will be there, along with business partners and important guests." I waited. "The thing is—" She twisted her engagement ring nervously. "They're going to ask questions about our family, about what everyone does, and I think it might be better if you didn't attend." I stared at her. "You're uninviting me from your wedding? Don't be dramatic," she said quickly. "I'm just saying it might be easier for everyone if you were busy that weekend. You could say you have work or something. I'll send you photos afterward." "Easier for who?" Vanessa asked quietly. "For you because you're embarrassed by what I do?" Her cheeks turned red. "I'm not embarrassed. Being realistic. Marcus's father believes in certain standards, certain expectations. When they ask what my sister does, she continued. "And I have to say you work in some industrial building making satellite parts. Designing," I corrected. I design satellite systems. See, this is what I mean, she snapped. You get defensive about everything. Some careers are just more presentable than others. Marcus is a lawyer. His brother is a surgeon. Sister married someone who owns luxury car dealerships. What am I supposed to say about you? Something cold settled inside me. You could say I'm an aerospace engineer working on the navigation system for Canada's next generation of communication satellites. You could say I have a master's degree and I've published research on orbital mechanics. You could say I'm actually very good at what I do. Vanessa's face hardened. I could say that, she replied, but it doesn't change the fact that you work in a warehouse, you're not married, and you don't really fit the image Marcus's family expects. This is the most important day of my life, Jordan. For once, can you not make it about you? She walked away before I could respond, her heels echoing sharply down the marble hallway. I stood there quietly for a moment, before pulling out my phone and texting the one person who always understood me. Family dinner from hell. Call you when I get home. Dr. Sarah Mackenzie had been my roommate at the University of Waterloo. She later completed a PhD in astrophysics while I entered the aerospace industry, even after she moved to Vancouver for research work and I stayed in Toronto. We remained close. She was the type of friend who answered messages at 2 a.m. and never made you feel small by the time I reached my apartment in Liberty Village and made a cup of tea. My phone rang. Sarah here. Tell me everything, she said immediately. I told her about the dinner, my father's comments, Vanessa asking me not to attend the wedding. Sarah listened without interrupting. She uninvited you from her own wedding, she finally said in disbelief. Yep, it's because you're an aerospace engineer. Apparently because I work in a warehouse and I'm not married. Jordan, she said firmly, you literally design systems that help satellites stay in orbit. Your work will provide internet access to remote communities across northern Canada. It's real impact. Yeah, I replied with a tired laugh. But I don't wear designer suits to office parties, so clearly I'm a failure. Your family is insane, Sarah muttered. I think I'm done trying, I admitted quietly. I've spent my whole life trying to make them see me, but they never will. Maybe Vanessa's right. Maybe it's easier if I'm just not there. Hey, Sarah said gently, you don't owe them anything. If you want to skip the wedding, skip it. We talked for another hour about work and life, avoiding family topics completely. When I finally hung up, I felt strangely lighter. I decided I wouldn't attend the wedding. 3 days later, while reviewing satellite telemetry data at my desk early in the morning, my phone rang with an unfamiliar Toronto number. Jordan Reeves, I answered. Miss Reeves, this is Diana Chen, Marcus Chen's mother. I sat up straight. Oh, hello, Mrs. Chen. I hope I'm not interrupting your work, she said politely. I received your number from Vanessa. Wanted to personally confirm your attendance at the rehearsal dinner next Friday. I blinked in surprise. I understand there may have been some confusion about the guest list, she continued calmly, but we absolutely expect you to attend. In fact, I'd like to seat you at the head table with the family. I'm sorry, what? The dinner is at Canoe at 7. I'll have a place card prepared for you, Mrs. Chen, I said. Slowly, I think there might be some misunderstanding, Vanessa told me. I know exactly what Vanessa told you, Diana said gently, and we already had a discussion about it. You're her sister. Of course you're attending. Then she added something that made my heart skip. My brother-in-law James Morrison is the CEO of Orion Technologies. I believe you're familiar with the company. Of course I was. Orion Technologies was one of Canada's largest aerospace contractors. Yes, I said carefully. James mentioned that your company is working on the Northern Connect satellite project. He was very impressed with the technical proposal he reviewed. When Vanessa mentioned you were an aerospace engineer, I made the connection. You're leading the navigation systems team, correct? Aye. Then I insist that you attend. James would love to discuss your work. After we hung up, I stared at my phone for a full minute before calling Sarah. Plot twist, I said, and 3 days later, wearing a new navy blue dress and standing in the elegant dining room at Canoe overlooking the city, I realized something important. Sometimes the people who recognize your worth are complete strangers, and sometimes the people who should believe in you the most are the last ones to see it, but your value doesn't change. Just because someone fails to notice it, your worth was never theirs to measure in the first place.